Maybe she needs to change her diet. I'm not giving her a blood test to see if she needs to eat more steak, he said. You can feed her as you like. In my school play, Alcestis was carried off stage to face her fate, but at the last minute, young Heracles came to the rescue. I fought with the god of death, the boy playing this role, my friend, would recite with warmth and mockery, explaining how he got me back from the grave. I surprised him and trapped his neck in a lock. Since I played Alcestis as well as Death, I wore both a gauzy white dress and a gauzy black cloak. Alcestis was stoic, devoted. Death was acerbic, exasperated. Both accepted things for what they were. I suppose you could say both were resigned. Following the script, I died and came back to life in every show. I napped during intermission one evening, missed some morning classes in order to sleep in and stay late for the show, but I refused to miss a single performance despite my increasing inability to stay awake. My body continued to break down. The back of my mouth started bleeding from an abscess developing on my tonsils. I woke up in the night because my arms had fallen asleep, and the pain of the pins and needles would startle me out of my dreams. Once, right before my 15th birthday, I peed the bed. I was so embarrassed having to tell my mom what had happened. At first, she didn't even believe me. "What happened?" she asked. "I don't know, nothing. It just happened." "Should we go to the hospital? Let's go to the hospital." "No," I said. "I'm sure it's fine." After the final show, though, when my indefinable illness had dragged on for 9 weeks, I finally had blood tests done at the same walk-in clinic. This time, seeing the pools of blood underneath my eyes, the doctor did not refuse us. My mom brought me, and I brought along the neighbor's kids I was babysitting, since the clinic closed before my job ended. Bringing people for whom I was responsible made me feel less afraid. I had to be brave for someone. When the results came back several days later, we got a call. I heard the voicemail and was confused. "But why do I have to go back in?" I asked my mom. "Why can't they just tell us over the phone?" My mom did well to mask her panic. I know now that she must have been terrified, that she must have sensed something. I obviously did too, but we each needed to pretend to be fine for the other. "I'm sure it's fine," she said, echoing me. "They just need to see you in person." An explanation that was no explanation at all. At this point, the whites of my eyes were again filled with blood. Like an oil spill, the fresh red all over the white, not mixing, and the bruises underneath my eyes were swollen. My skin was pale and glowing, like paper held to a lamp, and the abscess in my throat made eating painful. I remember craving a chicken Caesar sandwich from Arby's that was being advertised on TV at the time, and a freshly squeezed orange juice. I've never liked orange juice, and months later, when I finally got around to eating one of those Arby's sandwiches, the lettuce was slippery, the bread stale, and the dressing tasted like preservatives. It was not my fantasy at all. My mom took me back to the clinic, and the doctor just stood there, holding the sheet of blood counts in his hand, looking at me with his eyes full of the fear that comes from facing the unknown. "I think you should see a specialist," he said, hurried. "I called a hematologist up here, but they don't have any appointments for a few weeks." He said some numbers, but the numbers didn't mean anything to me. They were my counts of hemoglobin, platelets, neutrophils, numbers that I would become very familiar with soon. On his paper, they were all practically at 0. Did this mean I had no blood in my body? I didn't understand. "I'll take her to Sick Kids," my mom said. And then, "Should I take her to Sick Kids?" He nodded. We left. That line ran through my head incessantly. When I awake in the body of Alcestis, she dies. I was the girl, and I was death.